Good stuff. Perfect. Well, Rob, thanks very much for joining me on the podcast. You are, as per your website, the brains behind this little product, which we will get into as we go along. But really, what I try to do with the GoingOB podcast is just kind of shine a light on people's kind of golf stories. So just really just want to find out a bit more about you as a person and as a player first, how you've came to get involved in the putting aid market, and what kind of you got in the future for this little guy and the extra stuff that you have on the website, and we'll discuss a wee bit about Pepe, which you have released as well.
Sure.
Because going into 2026, I'm about to start a Beat My Best series where I'm going to try and get some metrics. I do use shot scope, so I use some of their metrics, and rather than trying to do break a certain number or do certain scores or or make a claim that I'm going to get down to a whatever handicap, I'm just going to try and pick a couple of metrics and work on those. And by proxy of working on those, I should get better. Is where I'm planning on going with that. So
It's a good idea. It's a good idea.
yes. So yeah, how did you get involved in the golf game? What's your origin story?
My origin story, I would have been quite late to the game of golf, relatively speaking, as it were. Growing up, I never really played that much golf. Would have borrowed my older brother's clubs every now and then, but wasn't really a club member. Played the odd pitch and putt, driving range, etc. Because I was big football player,
Okay.
and played a lot of football, competitive football and Sunday league football, not professional by any means, but to a relatively high standard. But I would say after my sixth knee operation, I decided I needed to hang up the boots.
Right.
It was going to have a long term impact on my health and my knee, and it's being warned that if I kept playing, I would likely have crippling arthritis when I was older, just because I had so much cartilage damage and ligament damage on my knees. So I took to golf. Now, interestingly speaking, it was my seventh knee operation was after an injury on the golf course. So I think I can't necessarily blame the football as opposed to my knees are brittle as anything. But that's where I got the bug for golf, took it up, and was a typical club player. I was fortunate enough where I worked in the south of England, although I'm now in Northern Ireland. And that's where I met the co-founders of the Putting Edge. Was when we all worked for an IT company in the south of England, and we happened to have a quite a decent golf course on our doorstep. We were out in the sticks in a very rural area in Hampshire with a golf course. It was actually South Winchester Golf Course. It was right on our doorstep, and we could go to their practice facilities at lunchtime. We could go after lunch, and we started to really get deep into game improvement. And really from there, we kept going with our professional careers, but we'd always aspired, not necessarily just about golf, but hey, we'd love to run our own business. There was three of us that all worked for like a multinational IT company. Um,
Mhm.
and like, I guess every golfer would love the idea of, can I make a living from this? If I'm not good enough to be professional, can I make a living from it? And that's where recently an opportunity came up. I guess you could say the stars aligned. One of my partners, he was coming to the end of a business venture that he was involved in. I actually got laid off at work and made redundant and had a nice package to walk away with that gave me some breathing space to maybe think about something else, do
Mhm.
something different. And so there was three of us that committed. Will we go after this? Will we see if we can come up with some good ideas that we had been knocking about, but one more so, which you already showed, that we had a relationship with a a PGA golfer who had an idea, or not had an idea, he had a design. He just wasn't sure how to scale it, how to bring it to market. And so we partnered with him as a PGA professional. He was Tom Fleming. He's based
Mhm.
out of Donington Grove in the south of England, who had this design for how can you improve that chopsticks drill with putting.
Yep.
And that's where I worked with him and we designed that device. And it's real simple, like, because he was a teaching professional who had a putter with permanently duct tape, gaffer tape alignment sticks on his putter so he could show his students how to get this rocking motion. He'd come up with this basic concept of a device that could hold the sticks instead of using duct tape.
Mm.
And it kind of came from there, where I have an engineering background as well as an IT background, really into design and 3D design, and had came up with these, I guess, prototypes. We took it from there. We built it into a really neat product that was quite easy to use and really reinforced that concept of drilling, or that putting drill. Now, kind of aligned for me because me myself, as much as I had talked earlier on my issues with my knees, I would say last year in 2024 I had 3 shoulder operations. And so my full swing golf game was gone. I couldn't play for like
Yeah.
15 months. But I could putt. I just couldn't, because I couldn't lift my shoulder above my head. I had no chance of swinging a golf club, and so really invested myself into short game putting because I had the bug. I'm sure, like anyone else, it was killing me that I couldn't play. And I think for a lot of us, like golf, even for mental health, is fantastic, right? In terms of
Yeah.
that ability to get out and get your head showered and uh, dust the cobwebs off. So it was really killing me. So having something to commit to in terms of still that game improvement, and like what you were saying, Craig, focus on a few metrics to improve instead of trying to reproduce Rory McIlroy's swing. Like, there's a reason why he's there and we're not, right?
Yeah.
But as far as short game and putting is concerned, it's something that doesn't take an amazing physique. I was injured and I could still do it and could still focus on it. So yeah, that's where the genesis of that putting edge device came from. From there, we came up with a few more products that you'll see on the website. One around the putting guide that really controls the arc of your putt. That putting edge golf device is more about that shoulder rock, that pendulum swing. But one of the things that myself, Joe, and Richard discuss is that idea of, you hear, should I take the putter straight back? Should I have an arc? What should it be? I did a lot of research into various professionals, various teaching methods, and although there was some products out there, they weren't really like usable and achievable for the everyday golfer. Like
Yeah.
in terms of that one to reinforce the putting arc. You may have seen it. It's a massive white angled plane, but yeah, you see the professionals using them, but it's their caddies and their coaches that are carrying them and putting them on the putting green. It's not something that
Yeah.
really fits into your bag. So we came up with a design that could do that and fold away into your bag. And then similarly, one of the things we were working on was this idea of, okay, well, I know how I know how to take my wrists out of the putting device. That's what the main putting aid's about. I kind of know what sort of arc I can achieve. So if I've got that idea of a consistent stroke and a consistent tempo, how can I really dial in my distance control? And we started to come up with the concept of like a putting system, um, which again was the genesis of what you'd mentioned before, Pepe. Because we said to yourself, we were so confident that these devices really worked. We had taken them on a roadshow with a number of different teaching professionals, and they all loved it. It's not unique in terms of that chopsticks drill,
Mm.
but it's so simple. It's something that fits in your pocket. Most golfers already have alignment sticks in their bag. It's so easy to just whip out and reinforce that motion that you're trying to do. And so with that confidence, we were like, well, but how do we prove it? How can we make it so we've got that data that backs up that this works, and it's not just a gimmick, and it's not just another golf training aid that people will throw money at, that it won't necessarily improve your game.
Yeah.
So we devised a method or did a lot of research into, well, how can we prove, or how can we record the data to show that your putting is getting better? And we had the seed of an idea of, well, could you have a putting handicap? How could we create a putting handicap? Yes, every golfer has their world handicap system, WHS index, but how much does your putting play into that, and can you rate it? And so we started to come up with ideas and things that we could do that would reflect how well you're putting or how well you're improving. And you'd already mentioned it earlier, Craig, in terms of the shot scope data. Everyone's seen a lot of that data, the strokes gained data. We collated millions of data points around, okay, well, we have this old data that can compare how you putt, or how a scratch golfer putts, or how a tour pro putts, or what sort of expectation a club golfer, 15 handicap golfer would have at different distances from a hole on a green.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, we developed a way of breaking that down into a relative scoring for your putting. In terms of what we were saying before about distance control, we believe that every golfer should already know exactly how far they're trying to putt it, especially amateur golfers.
Yeah.
Yes, they'll have phenomenal golfers who are really great field putters, but I would say that's not 99% of amateur golfers.
Mm-hmm.
It can be quite, or we need to have a lot of field, but a lot of mechanics to how far do I roll this, how far, what's the break, what's the green. We watch these professional golfers, and yes, they every now and then might hit a shank or hit a drive that's sliced wide, but typically their putting's always pretty awesome, and it kind
Mm-hmm.
of boils back to the idea of anyone can be a good putter. It's not a very complicated movement, especially if you use our device to reinforce that shoulder rocking motion.
Yeah.
So once you've got that idea of, I know how far my putt is, we can take that data and compare it to all the different, whether it's strokes gained, shots, shot scope data, to give a relative score for that, and then break that up down into what essentially breaks down into a putting handicap.
Mm-hmm.
And hence we created putting edge, putting index, which is peppy.
Yeah. No, I mean it's definitely, the data thing is massive. I did look at my shot scope stuff from last year, and I've I've habitually been over the years a really bad putter, right? And it's a bit of everything. It's my setup, it's distance control, it's the green reading side of things as well. I mean, I've been playing. I think I'd worked out before. I think I started playing when I was like 12, so I've been playing for about 30 years. Can't get lower than a 15, right? But it's a hobby. I really enjoy playing it. It's not the end of the world for me if I don't get down to whatever else, right? But I would like to be better, and it was embarrassing. Like, my putting was really bad. So got in touch with a guy last year. He's a putting coach. So he gave me some pointers. I'm going to do some work with him going forward. Um, and that was one of the things. Well, I sent him like 2 or 3 videos, and in every video that I sent him, there was a different setup. I was using my hands too much for things. I was changing my grip. There was nothing that was like a set, right? There was far too many variables. Was I using a line on the ball? Was I using a dot on the ball at one point? Yeah, whatever. But majority of my things where I was pushing putts because I'm leaving it, I'm not coming back, and I'm leaving it open. That would be right. I'm pushing it out,
Mm-hmm.
and everything was short, right? So I spoke to Shot Scope, went through my data, and that's what they were saying as well. They were like, you should never be leaving a putt short. And I'm talking, I was leaving 4 and 5 footers short
Mm-hmm.
of distance. Um, so I thought, right, well, we obviously need to look at that one, and I need to be a bit braver rolling it. So if I can get a repeatable stroke, which is what I've been trying to do now, so I've got a proper setup, right? Everything's in line. I've been using your tool over the last wee while since you sent it through to me. It sits in my office with the two sticks, and when I'm
Mm-hmm.
in between calls or I'm doing something, I'll just stand up and I just try to get that kind of rocking movement. But what I have been trying recently is kind of like heads up putting. So this, look at the hole rather than looking back at my ball and then trying to judge. Right, I think this is the weight. When I'm getting inside, maybe 5 or 6 feet, I'm like, right, okay, I know I just need to look at the hole, and that's the last thing I'm looking at, and then I just kind of pull the trigger. But even that was a bit of a development to get
Mm-hmm.
to get to. But as you're saying, I mean, there's tons of training aids out there, some of which are very confusing. And if my head is already scrambled with trying to work out all these other bits and pieces, as I said, take out some of the variables. If all I need to do is stand over the ball and I know I'm rocking it back and forward, same sort of arc, same stroke all the time, that's half the battle. And then if I can work out the rest of it, we should improve. Is where I think I'm going to go with that.
No, you're absolutely right. And I'm a big fan of Bob Rotella, in terms
Mm.
of that, psychology, sports psychology of golf. And similar to what you're saying with regard to that, looking at the whole, it's to take your mind off that idea of, you know, paralysis by analysis. You got too much going
Mhm.
on in your head when most of us have the feel. He often does this, or talks about this idea of people saying they can't putt, they don't know how, they don't have the touch or the feel to roll a putt, and he does a thing where he throws him a golf ball and says, "Throw it back to me,"
Yeah.
and they just instinctively throw it back, and it goes right into his hand. It's like, well, there you
Mhm.
go. You've got enough of the mechanics and hand-eye coordination to be a fantastic putter, but because you're getting into that paralysis by analysis of you're thinking too much of what should I do here, how far do I take it back, is this an arc, do I take it straight back, is my putter face closed, what sort of tempo do I need? There's so much going on in your head, and that's
Yeah.
where we're advocating for the device that you have. Just makes it so easy and repeatable.
Mhm.
And what I love about the device is once you have it in, and you have the sticks under your arms, and you feel that it's completely, you can't break your wrists when you're holding the
Yeah.
device, so you can only move your shoulders. Um, but once, even as little as 10 minutes of using that device, it's almost as if when you then take the device off, the feeling's still very familiar. It's almost, you can still feel that the sticks are under your arms. You kind of know what it was forcing you to do. It's
Yeah.
very, very repeatable. So with that idea, then taking into the fact of, well, if we say there's three key pillars to what we would consider a fantastic putter, or the ability to be a fantastic putter is a consistent stroke, a consistent repeatable stroke, good tempo,
Mhm.
and good distance control. Um, because you know you may struggle to read some greens. You may struggle to realize the green of the grass, or the slope was slightly uphill or slightly downhill, or was left and right. But if you're rolling it the right distance, 9 times out of 10, you're going to leave yourself a tap in.
Yeah.
Often, as amateur golfers, what happens is we've read it wrong and we've got the tempo wrong, or our wrists have hit the ball and we roll it 10 feet past, and now we're into a three putt.
Mhm.
But if you've got, and that's what I found with my golf, I'm very, very confident that I can roll a putt to within 10% of the distance I was. So if
Mhm.
I'm 30 feet away, I'm confident. I may not have read it quite well, but I'm confident that I can roll that putt the right distance to within 10%. So within 3 feet on a 30-foot putt. That means I'm leaving myself at least a tap in for a two putt. You know,
Yeah.
and the odd one you'll hole, right? And if you can do that and look after that, especially us amateur golfers, club golfers with mid handicaps, your handicap will come dropping down because it's very very hard to recover from a three putt, especially
Yeah.
a three putt from 10 foot. But you might slice or shank the odd ball, but you can recover from that. If you hit a
Yeah.
decent second and a decent chip, you can still get your par or a bogey. But if you're on the green for three and three putt, you've just double bogeyed on a par four, right?
Mhm.
It's hard to recover from that. So I think we really want to advocate. We've all heard it, right? Drive for show, putt for dough. But the actual importance of your short game and putting, if you can dial that in, it will have a great effect on your handicap.
Yeah. So what's your current handicap then? What are you playing off?
So my current handicap hasn't changed because I haven't been able to play. So
Yeah.
I'm your average golfer. I'm my handicap 16.
Right.
But I can say through Pepe, when I
Hmm.
started, when we started and had Pepe live, the data was indicating that I was a mid-teen handicapper as far as putting was concerned,
Hmm.
and now on our own site, I'm a scratch putter. So I'm
Right.
looking
Okay.
forward to, and I'm starting now to get out, and I'm starting my physios ended now, and I can swing a club. So of course, I'm sure like a lot of places in the UK and Scotland, our courses are non-qualifying at the minute
Goes down.
because they're
Yeah.
they're all
Yeah.
they're all lift clean in place. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to the new season starting because I've every confidence that with my putting that we all said, but I'm my target is at least single figures this year.
Yeah.
But I would have the confidence that my putting and my short game will get there.
Yeah.
Even while I'm learning to open up my shoulders with regard to my full swing. But yeah, very confident for the new year.
Good. Well, I'm quite fortunate because the course I'm at, Glen Course, just outside, it's in Pennycook outside Edinburgh. We've now got a fully measured winter course.
Nice.
So this is the first time they've actually done it. So we can continue to put cards in right through the winter. Um, which is good. And when they first announced that, I'm like, brilliant. I'm going to try and get out every Saturday and I'm going to stick a card in and I'm going to keep playing through the winter. And then
Yeah.
the weather's just horrendous and it's like, I actually can't be bothered going out and getting frozen. So, I mean, I was out on Sunday, played one of the guys from my work, shot on 81, which is good for me because that's below what I'm normally like mid 80s. So that was good. And again, I was just trying to work on a few different bits and pieces, kind of putting wise, because this is the time to try to ground these things in, and that was why when I reached out to you and said to get you come on and try and get some tips and bits of advice, particularly stuff I can take back to Menno and just say, look, this is what I'm working on, and this is what I've got. Then
Mm-hmm.
hopefully I do a bit over the winter, and then when the season comes, it's not like right you've just sat about and not actually been out there.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
my
and
plan.
I think you should definitely see a lot of progress if, like, as I say, I'm sure you've said that you've been playing for 30 years and
Mhm.
struggled to break into anything lower than 15, right?
Yeah,
Um, and I think as amateurs, because when we do practice, that old adage of we like to beat balls, right? We like to go to the
yeah,
range and open up our shoulders and try and stripe the ball down the middle. And more often than not, that is not what happens on the course, right?
yeah, yeah,
But one thing that is reproducible is good putting. If you're putting well on your practice green or even at home, like some of our training aids, well, not some, all of them can be used in your living room. Um, but if you really dial that in, that will transfer to the course
yeah,
because it's very, once you've got that, like I say, that repeatable stroke and a good tempo, then the only thing that changes is the length of your stroke.
Mm-hmm.
and then you can dial that in. And we talk about a system whereby if I'm putting, and I have what I consider a very repeatable, reliable stroke, and I've got my tempo. Everyone can have different tempos, but if you have your tempo in terms of, some people talk about back and forwards or one
Mm-hmm.
and two, just have that something in your head is that's the tempo of your putting stroke. Then the only thing that changes is how far you take it back. That's it. So,
Yeah.
and if you have confidence, we talk about um, this concept of big toe, little toe, putter toe is what we call it, which is if I'm got a consistent stroke and a consistent tempo on my greens, if I take the putter back to my big toe of my trail foot and
Mm-hmm.
through to my big toe, and I'm consistent in doing that, then the ball should roll. All things being equal in terms of break
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
uphill, downhill, the ball should roll the same distance or within inches of each other. And it will if you have that same stroke. Because the idea of using a shoulder motion means when you're not flexing your wrists, sometimes that's very unpredictable. And that's a lot of amateur golfers have. They have this sort of hitting motion with their wrists because they're breaking the wrists in their stroke, which means you might have struck the ball just before it's square to the face. You might have struck it downwards. You might have struck it on an upstroke. You might have snapped through it, and that takes away the predictability of your length. But
Yeah.
if your shoulders and your big muscles are making the movement, there's very little can change.
Mm-hmm.
And if your tempo is locked in, then okay, when I take that, we pace out putts, and that's one of the big things around Pepe. But I'm confident that if I have that motion and I take the putter back to my big toe and through to my big toe, that typically rolls about 3 paces,
Mm-hmm.
9 feet. If I take it to the outside of my toe, my little toe, and through, that will typically go 6 to 7 paces for me. And then if we call it putter toe because it's the length of your putter toe outside your putter, that'll be another checkpoint of there are my stock distances for a putter stroke. I've got the
Yeah.
same rocking shoulders, I've got the same tempo, and then there's my 3 stock distances to roll a putt.
Yeah.
And then when you pace out a putt, or you can see that it's clearly uphill or downhill, or it's got, then you can bring in the brake. But it becomes so reliable, and then it really brings out confidence in your stroke because you don't have
Yeah.
anything to think about.
Yeah.
You're there. Every putter we recommend when you get to the ball, you should look at the putter or the putt path or the line of the putt from the other side of the hole.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no issue as you walk to the other side of the hole, just count how many paces between you and the hole, and you're like, okay, that's 10 paces. I know that if I take it just outside my little toe, that's 9 paces. So I'll go a little bit further,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll keep that same motion, I'll keep that same tempo, and 9 times out of 10 you'll roll it pretty close. And if you don't hold it, then you're leaving a gimme.
Tap in. Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
there's
that's
definitely something in that, and having like you say, having a proper set routine, and then the confidence to know that this is what you can do. Whereas I think a lot of it sometimes for me is guesswork.
mhm,
I think it's around about that sort of a stroke, and then as soon as that doubt starts creeping in, I'm just like, I'll just try and put this to the hole.
mhm,
And then when I spoke to the coach, he does kind of a bit of the mental stuff as well. And he was like, "But you've not missed it yet. You know this. Every putt that you're going to have is a new putt. Why would you automatically? And why would you be laying up on putts as well?
yeah,
Like I've got a 10 footer. You should be trying to make it. And if you don't make it, then you do another one. But this sticking it inside because I said to him about the old bin lid. Put it inside a bin lid.
mhm,
And I just try and roll it into there. He's like, why are you doing that? And then particularly if I've maybe taken 3 shots to get to the green, and then I've left myself like an 8 footer or something, why would I try to just roll it up to then knock it in and settle for a bogey when I should be trying to make it? And I think that's because I've not had something that's been trusted and repeatable that I can do all the time. So it is a massive kind of confidence thing. So, I mean, as I said, I had a look on the website as well, and that the putting box that you've got, I'm definitely going to grab myself one of those because it's
Eh,
everything I think I'm going to need in the one box.
Yeah, so that's our premium offering. So, the small device, the putting edge device, which is our like flagship device, and it's we try and make it as accessible as possible. It's only £20 to purchase it, right? And you can buy alignment sticks from us if you need them. But most people have alignment sticks and it fits almost all alignment sticks. Um, we have the putt guide that I talked to you about with regard to really helping you with that arc of your putting stroke. Uh, and then we have a putt gate, which is one that we designed ourselves. We've seen a lot of these different putting gate training aids, and none of them really work for us. Because some of them they're like they involve ball bearings that can get knocked everywhere. You need a putting mirror, or the ball sits on top of a device like a metal plane that you
Mm,
then put in. Like, but that's not. Now I've got something between the ground and the ball. That's not how we putt. It doesn't. It just doesn't feel natural. So we wanted to design something that you could use on the green. Your ball sits on the green, and gives you really good feedback. And that's what we call our putt gate.
mm.
And we designed it around using like almost like the concept of pinball flippers,
Yeah.
which is the gate, which will snap away and give you immediate tactile and visual feedback that you've hit it. Either you've hit it with your putter because you can position the gates at the ball. So is your putter coming through center, or is it coming a bit outside or a bit inside the ball? In which case you'll see or hear the gate flip. But unlike some of them, it'll immediately return back so you can hit again. You don't have to go looking for a ball, or you've knocked something over, or you've got to reset. And then one that you can set any distance away from your ball. And they have varying difficulty levels, so you can increase the width of the gap, or you can narrow it to be just wider than your putter for that gate at your putter coming through square. And
Mhm.
then for the ball line, you can make it literally a millimeter wider than a ball for the most difficult setting. Um, but it really gives you something to focus on. And what we try and do along with it is to provide the tutorials around, well, how do you use this?
Yeah.
It's not just like a going to the driving range and sitting beating balls, and eventually you might start hitting your 7 iron quite well. But what have you done? Are you reinforcing bad habits? Have you adjusted your swing to correct for something that you shouldn't have? Is there something else going on in your swing that you should have fixed? But you've now corrected, which makes it really hard to take it out into the course. Similarly, we don't, you know, we don't recommend that somebody sits and just hits balls until and adjusts their putter grip, or tries to adjust the line they're hitting their putter without understanding why are you pulling your putts.
Mhm.
Why, is it a case of you're not bringing your putter face square, and that's why, like you were saying at the start, Craig, that I'm leaving it open and I'm pushing my putts? Is it because I'm making contact too late in my stroke and my putter face is closing? Is it because I'm too wristy? Why are you hitting that? The putting gate is very good in the sense that it'll immediately tell you very quickly, you keep just hitting the left gate. So why? It can be typically you're not squared impact, you're closing your shoulders through the putting stroke, or, and what a lot of people don't realize, is you have an aim bias.
Mhm.
And we give some drills around, well, how do you know if you've got an aim bias, and how do you fix it? Often that's about how far away are you from the ball. And sometimes it can be oversimplified. Sometimes people advocate get a putting mirror, stand over the ball, look down, your eye should be over the ball. That's not the same for everyone. That's not the same for, depending on whether or not you're left eye dominant, right eye dominant. How tall are you? How much are you bending over? It's not the same for everyone. You need to find what's right for you.
Yeah.
We advocate the gates to A, give you that indication of, wow, I definitely do my shorter putts. I definitely am starting them left. My starting line's incorrect. Um, and then we can show, well, is that because of, if you use our putting device, the original putting edge device, that will help you square your putter, that will help you bring it through center, so you can eliminate that as a reason. Or we'll show you how to use the putting gates to see, okay, I actually do have a bias here. And anytime that I've showed anyone, well, they will kind of look at you straight and say, well, what do you mean putting bias? And one of the simple drills, we'll tell people to do is, if you can go to a hole and line up, get a putting alignment stick, put the ball at one end and the other end in the middle of the hole. So that's a straight line between the ball and the hole.
Yep.
Then about a foot from your ball, put a tee underneath the alignment stick. So you cannot argue that that tee is on the line to the hole, because your alignment stick is going right through the middle of it to the hole. Now remove the alignment stick and take your stance. And 9 out of 10 people will say that does not look straight. Because they're left eye dominant, they're too close to the ball, they're too far away, and although it is a straight putt, they're seeing it as that looks left to me.
Yeah.
And because it looks left to you, you'll try and correct it. Your brain is a very clever thing; it'll try and correct it and put it right.
Yeah.
And that's why, because straight looks left to me, I'm pushing my putts because I'm trying to correct that. But you shouldn't be, right? And often it'll be you're not close enough to the ball, or you're too far away from the ball. And so when you stand over and look down the line, whatever, and again, it can be affected: are you left eye dominant or are you right eye dominant? That can affect how you see that putt.
Yeah.
But your brain will try and correct it. So then you can use the putt gates to, like, okay, well, let me try this. Okay, where do I need to stand here for that to look straight to me? Okay, well, and I can measure that. Now I can sit in the putt gates and I'll sit and roll putts and be, yeah, now that feels better. I don't feel like I'm trying to correct it, but I am rolling it on the line I think I am. So we have this whole system, and this started off with you saying about the premium box, the putt box. It is a box that has all three in them. It's it has the actual putting edge, it has the putt plane, or the putt guide, it has the which you can get a 3-plane section or a 5-plane section. In the box there's a 3-plane section, and then it has the putt gates, and they all use alignment sticks. What's really cool about, and we've tried it as a bit of a bonus for the putt box, we kind of say one box, 100 training aids or training drills, because you can do so much with the actual putting edge device. You can do so much with the putt guide, multiple drills, and we have a drills website or a drills site that you can go and check some out. You can do multiple with the gates, but then the reverse of the box has angled holes in them. So again, building on that, we use alignment sticks as one of a very, very, very powerful training aid. But there'll be sticks in there that allow you to, or angle sticks, like if you are in the range and you're using you're working on your full swing, that it'll hold the stick at different angles. So if you're somebody who struggles with an inside takeaway, or somebody who struggles with an over the top swing, that you can use the alignment, the bottom of your box will hold the alignment sticks at that, with various drills to help you with that. So again, just another piece of, I'm sure people like me have gone to the driving range and you're trying to turn buckets upside down and put your alignment stick through the hole to try and give you an angle to work from. So again, that box is very good, and like I say, we're really trying to champion that idea of practicing putting isn't fun. It's not as fun as going to the range, but it can have, what is fun is seeing the improvement in your handicap. And like my partner, although I haven't been able to, like my partner at the putting edge, he is significantly, like, he started the year at 13 and I think he's 7 now, and
Hmm.
he's trying to get down into that low single fingers, and it's purely over his putting,
Yeah.
because he's always been a decent striker of the ball, but now that
Mm.
in and around the greens,
Yeah.
he's very good.
And that's the way forward with it then, eh?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so because unless we're somebody who can spend thousands of pounds in golf tuition and instruction and to
Yeah.
have somebody with his day in, because I really struggle with that concept of yes, I could go for a lesson and have any instructor can get me striking the ball really, really well,
Mm.
but I'm very quick to go back to old habits, and unless
Yeah, I'm the
I'm
same.
like then having the
Yeah.
instructor there watching me every other day to say, no, you're going back to over the top, or you're casting, or you're doing X, Y, and Z. Where I
Yeah.
found that with the putting practice, it is very repeatable and very reliable, and it's having a significant impact on my ability to putt. And like I say, is that distance control. But what does make it fun, Craig, is the peppy side.
Yeah.
I've found, and my playing partner, has really advocated with that as well, which is, do you know when we all do it? We play golf. We may have been to the range. We may have thought, do you know what? I've cracked it. I'm hitting it so well. I can't wait to get out on Saturday. And then it doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
You just aren't hitting the ball as well as you thought you were, or even as the round before. But what Pepe does, because it's kind of like a game within a game, you've got this
Mhm.
other concept of I'm trying to improve my putting handicap. So whereas I'm sure most people are like me, it's very easy for your head to drop. It's very easy for I can't believe I came out here in the rain, or I can't believe I came out here. I should have just stayed at home. I hate this
Yeah.
game. I'm selling the clubs. I'm done. Right?
Yep.
Um, when you have this peppy, the putting handicap, that is also a score that you're trying to go for, it kind of gives you something to stay motivated for, because it doesn't really matter how you got the ball onto the green or how many shots it took you to get the ball onto the green. It starts there.
Yeah.
You know, the peppy isn't affected by the fact that you sliced one, duffed one, managed to
Hmm.
get on the green in 3 or 4, and then one putted two. It's when you get on the green. So
Yeah.
what it kind of does, it keeps that motivation to keep going. And what we've had people tell us is, yeah, and what was going to any other time being a terrible round, I kind of kept my head in the game because I wanted to do well in my putting. I
Hmm.
wasn't driving it well. I wasn't. My irons weren't playing game, but I wanted to make sure once I got on the green, you know, I got a good putting score, right? And I
Yeah.
hold 5-5 pacers, or I didn't free putt at all. And what typically then happens, what you thought was being a terrible round, turns out okay,
Yeah.
because your putting stayed on. You stayed in your mental game on your putting, and it helped recover that round. But then compound that with when you are hitting it well and you're putting it well, that's when the great scores come in.
Yeah. Yep. No, well, I'll definitely I'll get onto the Pepe and get myself download. So, and I take it is there like leaderboards within that as well, so you can play some challenges against folk
Yeah,
and
yep, it's completely free. Anytime anyone signs up, they'll automatically get a friends invite from myself and Joe at Putting Edge. And all that really does is, because we're aware it's um, puttingedgegolf.com/Pepe. And when you sign up, obviously, until you've got some of your own data in there, it'll be like going on to look at Golf England or Golf Scotland or Golf Ireland, and you haven't submitted any rounds. It's pointless, right? It's just an empty application. But
yeah.
when you've added friends, you can go. We've made it so you can then go in and look at my data, or you can look at Joe's data,
Oh, good.
and
Yeah.
you can see, okay, I can see he played here, and he had all this. He hold 5 putts from 3 paces, 5 paces. He had no 3 putts, and his putting handicap from that round was a 3, or a 3.6, or a 2. And then it works like golf, your WHS. It's like the average of your best 8 gives you your actual putting handicap. But yet there's leaderboards. We'll be running competitions and prize giving for putter of the month. You can look at putters just at, or players, golfers just at your course. You can look at leaderboards for just your friends. You can look at, well, we have leaderboards for most improved, so it's not just all about the elite putters who are winning
Yeah.
everything. It's about who's most improved or who hold the longest putt this weekend. And again, because that means that's anything we can all compete for, right? And it's there's the social interaction side of things where you can like and share people's rounds. You can like and share your own rounds. It's turned into what started off as, can we prove that you're improving in putting, to a
Mhm.
very powerful application that actually, we haven't seen anything out there. We don't think there's anyone doing this, but
Yeah.
giving a putting handicap and rating your round of putting based on millions of data points. And it's quite powerful, and it's quite addictive, right? And what I found is then, like I said, the Craig, it's the idea of keeping you in the right mindset, even when you may not be playing well on the golf course. Because
Yeah.
once I get on the green, then I can do well, and I might put in a good round for a good putting display. And what do
Mm.
you know? That also saved your round, and you ended up with 36 points instead of 29 points, right?
Ah,
Because your putting was dialed in.
no, that's good. So it's the competitive edge to the putting edge. Is that where you're going
Yeah,
with that one there?
yeah. So it's putting edge, putting index. So yeah, it is just that idea of you know, can I put a competitive nature to putting? Can I show?
Yeah.
I know there's all sorts of performance metrics and graphs that kind of show you how your putting's trending. And it's like, don't get me wrong, and we've ways to that we encourage people to use some of our putting tutorials. Is you know it's not a magic wand, right? Because sometimes, as much as I consider myself as a very good golfer for an amateur, or a very good putter for an amateur golfer, sure, if I was to go to Augusta, I would not be able to putt, right? You'll go to
Yeah.
different greens and you'll go to things that you're not used to. But certainly for that average club golfer who plays on regular courses, but even with that idea of, I know I have a consistent stroke and I have a consistent tempo on my distance control, that's very reproducible and transferable to other courses. Because you might
Yeah.
go, whereas when I'm playing at my home course and I think, well, when I have my stroke, my tempo, and I take it back to my little toe on my course, that's a 10-foot putt.
Hmm.
If I was ever to go and play Augusta, I'm sure I'd quickly find out on the putting green when I do that same stroke, wow, that's a 20-foot putt
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
green's faster, right? But then quickly you can use that mental arithmetic within your head, right? That mental math of, okay, seems that on this course that I'm playing is 50% quicker than my home course, what I'm used to playing every week.
Yeah.
And then now when I go and play a course or a green, all I need to do is hit the practice green, or even you'll find very quickly on the first green of, wow, these are, you know, 20% quicker than what I'm used to. My 5 pace putt's now a 6 pace putt.
Yeah.
But again, that then gives you the confidence on greens that you're not used to playing to roll it, right? And to have a
Yeah.
real good go with the hole.
Because that's another thing as well. Like I'll go and play some of these courses, and folk will be like, "These greens are fast today," and I'm like, "Greens are green, right?" To me, it
Yeah.
doesn't really mean. I know if I've tapped it and it's ran, oh, it must be quite quick, or you've given it a
Yeah.
good done at the speed as they get there that they're slow. But I play with some really good golfers, and they're like, these things are like glass today, or they're running like a whatever else. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and it gives you a bit of a heads up with that. Can only be a good thing, eh?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then it gives you the confidence, right?
Yep,
It gives you the
exactly.
confidence that, okay, I know how to adjust this. I know how to play this course very, and make that adjustment to your stroke. And what's the thing? It's not even an adjustment to your stroke. It's just an adjustment to, okay, well, what would have been a stroke of a backstroke of this length doesn't need to be
Mhm.
that now, right? It's half that for this course. Or hey, it's the winter and they've let the green grow a bit, so it's twice that because
Yeah.
they're very slow greens at the minute, right?
Yeah. No, that's good. But like I said, I'll get on. I'll get signed up for the Pepe, and we'll try and get a bit competitive over the next couple of months and
Absolutely.
see what happens from there. So yeah, it's the puttingedgegolf.com, isn't it?
Yeah, puttingedgegolf.com is our retail site, and puttingedgegolf.com/Pepi, P-E-P-I, is the entry gateway into the handicap system, and it's completely free. At the minute, we're offering all new members will be given like founder member status,
Right.
which means obviously, ideally, this will turn into, and we believe it really will turn into something a lot bigger than what we anticipate. But we commit that these founder members will never have to pay. So if we ever end up doing a freemium or a premium for it, the founder members will have lifetime free membership.
Yeah. So everybody should go on that now. Get signed up now.
Yeah, exactly.
Get signed up now. Perfect. Well, Rob, thanks again for jumping on. And I know we were due to speak a couple of weeks ago, and life and things gets in the way. So I'm really glad that we managed to get you on,
No problem.
and kind of chop it up a wee bit, see what you guys were offering, because this is the platform I want to kind of put forward, is to give people that have got a golf story a bit of a voice to put their stuff out there. So thanks very much for coming on. You have any more products coming up? By all means, give us a shout. More than happy to have you back on, have another chat, and see if we can sell some units for you. We'll get a look on from there. So thanks again, and we'll speak soon. All right.
Cheers, Craig.
Thanks, Rob. Cheers.